You've seen my DIY ceramic slides in action in many of my videos. They work great with fretless CBGs, and now it's time to reveal the secrets of their creation. Hello, fellow artists. If you build a lot of fretless cigar box guitars, then you're probably tired of outsourcing slides from expensive suppliers. I'm here to show you how to craft quality ceramic slides in a multitude of sizes and colors without having to buy a $1,000 kiln. After much research and trial and error, I finally have a fireproof method for crafting ceramic, specifically terracotta slides at home with a few simple tools, inexpensive ingredients, and Diamond Tech's FuseWorks Craft Kiln. Let's talk about the FuseWorks Craft Kiln for a second. This small, electric, relatively inexpensive kiln was designed for glass fusing, slumping, and casting and glazing pre-made bisqueware with low fire or low temperature glazes. Bisqueware are ceramic pieces that have been fired in a kiln but not glazed. However, my gut and my research suggested that I would be able to bisque fire small pieces of terracotta and other low temperature clays in the FuseWorks Craft Kiln, and I was right! The method for making terracotta slides in the FuseWorks Craft Kiln is simple to execute but does require a lot of time, meticulous planning, and preparation to ensure your safety and avoid costly mishaps. Let's begin by talking about how to safely set up the FuseWorks Craft Kiln. Firstly, read the manual and follow the setup instructions to the letter. I do, however, have something very important to add about setting up this kiln. This baby draws a heck of a lot of power from your home's circuits. I selected an empty outlet to fire up my kiln, but this wasn't enough for my prefabricated mobile home, which is wired differently from traditionally constructed homes. I ended up tripping my breakers in a major way and lost power in most of my home for an entire evening. After the breakers tripped, I gathered that the kiln needed an empty circuit, not just an empty outlet. Luckily, my garage had empty circuits available with no appliances drawing power from them, so I set up my kiln in my garage and did not have any issues after that. Before using your kiln to cook some dirt, you need to pre-fire it or run it once while empty for 15 minutes. Turn the dial to 15 and let it run. After the 15 minutes are up, the timer will ring a bell and turn off the kiln. Note, the coils will still be red hot after the timer rings. You're supposed to let the kiln cool down for 2 hours after you pre-fire it. As you read through the FuseWorks Craft Kiln manual, you'll find that despite the 30-minute timer on the kiln, you can only fire it for a maximum of 15 minutes. Apart from not having a temperature control mechanism, the 15-minute max firing time is one of the FuseWorks' many limitations. These limitations, however, are baked into my slide making procedure, and although the FuseWorks Craft Kiln isn't designed for making bisqueware, I will not be instructing you to break any of the manual's operating rules. Okay, so no procedure is complete without a full tools, materials, and equipment list. Apart from the FuseWorks Craft Kiln, you're going to need the following materials to make your terracotta slides. Firstly, you're going to need terracotta clay. You can also work with other low-fire clays if you don't want the rustic look of terracotta. Any clay that is described as earthenware clay or a 04 through 06 cone range will work for this project. Secondly, you're going to need grog. Grog is fired ceramic that has been ground into a powder. According to my research, grog is added to clay to give it stability during the drying, firing, and cool down process. Hence, it protects your piece from cracking from thermal shock, which is caused by abrupt changes in temperature. There are many types of grog, and my research suggested that a medium mesh size, not too coarse and not too fine, will work best for this project. I've not experimented much with my grog, but have been using 48 mesh Mongolia grog with great results. Thirdly, you're going to need wooden dowels of different diameters to help you shape your clay into slides of different sizes. I've been using a set designed for wire wrapping, and the thing I love about this set is that the diameters of the dowels are included in the dowel style holster, which makes sizing my slides a no-brainer. Fourthly, you will need a low fire glaze that will create a thick and smooth glass-like finish on the plain surface of your slide. I've used Ameco's LG2, which is a lead-free glossy black low fire glaze from their LG series with excellent results. Ameco's LG series includes other colors as well. I have not experimented with high gloss, low fire glazes from other companies, so I can't give you a comparison. All I know is that Ameco's LG2 worked very well for me, and I like that it's non-toxic. Fifth, you're going to need kiln paper to keep your slides from fusing with the floor of the FuseWorks craft kiln. Six, you're going to need sandpaper to help you refine the shape of your unfired slides and to clean up the bottom of your fire slides after glazing. I have lots of P80 grit sandpaper on hand, so that's what I use for my slide making. P80 grit is pretty coarse, but it works well for me. Other things you will need are heat-resistant mitts, parchment baking paper, a 1-inch paintbrush, and access to an oven. By the way, all of the tools and materials I mentioned are listed in the video description box and accompanied by Amazon affiliate links for your convenience. Using my links doesn't cost you extra, but it does help me and my channel. So now that we've got our materials, let's get crafting. Unpack your clay and cut it into a large chunk you can roll around and heat up with your hands. If your clay is brittle or dry when you unpack it, add a little water to make it malleable. The amount of water will depend on how dry and brittle your clay is. Play with your clay until it's warm and easy to shape. Once your chunk of clay is malleable, add a handful of grog to your clay and massage it until the grog is evenly distributed. I know that a handful isn't a concrete measurement, but having completed 3 batches of slides in this manner, I know that this project doesn't require a strict recipe. If you're concerned about creating your own clay grog mix, then purchase a clay body that's already been grogged by a professional ceramicist. I've included a pre-mixed clay by a reputable ceramic supplier in the video description box. I talked to one of their customer service agents to confirm that their clay and grog are comparable to what I've been using, and I'm comfortable recommending them and plan on purchasing their clay and grog mix for future batches because it would save me time and their prices are competitive. Once you have a malleable clay grog mix, create a sheet of clay the length of your wooden dowels at approximately the desired thickness of your slides. Select a wooden dowel from your collection and wrap up your dowel in the sheet of clay you just made. Lightly roll your dowel wrapped in clay on a hard surface to smooth out your clay. Hand smooth with wet fingers as needed. Do not allow the walls of your prospective slide to thin out. While your clay is still attached to the dowel, slice it into segments between 1.5 and 2 inches in length. These are the ideal slide lengths for 3-string cigar box guitars with 1x2 necks. Now it's time to remove the segmented clay from your dowel. I found that the best way to do this is to gently grab one of the segments and to twist it off the dowel. Go slowly to avoid reshaping the clay too much. If you've managed to keep the clay from drastically changing shape, then smooth your slide with a few drops of water. Repeat the previous step until you've removed all of the clay segments from your dowel. Now, place your wet slides in a clean area to air dry. This may take a few hours or an entire day depending on the conditions of your workspace. Once your slides have air dried and feel like a piece of chalk, refine their shapes further with sandpaper. Make sure to completely dust off your slides after sanding. This next step may seem redundant, but is very important. To ensure successful firing in the FuseWorks craft kiln, it's critical to thoroughly dry your slides before firing them in the kiln. Even a small amount of moisture can lead the slides to exploding during the firing process. Regrettably, I lost most of my first batch of slides because I didn't remove all of the moisture from my greenware. An easy way to remove moisture from your greenware slides is to bake them in the oven. Place your slides on a cookie sheet lined with parchment baking paper in a cool oven. Then set your oven to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Allow your slides to go through the preheating process with your oven. After your oven reaches the target temperature, bake your slides for an hour. After the hour is up, turn off your oven, but allow your slides to keep baking in the residual heat. Wait until your oven is completely cool before you remove your slides. This may take 2 or 3 hours. Now that your slides are bone dry, it's time to prepare your kiln for firing. Take a sheet of kiln paper and cut it to loosely fit the floor of your FuseWorks craft kiln. Be sure to wear gloves while doing this, as the kiln paper is like fiberglass. It can cause cuts and leave small sharp splinters in your hands. After this kiln paper is cut to size and fitted inside the kiln, place your slides on top of the kiln paper and plug in your kiln. Now we are ready to begin baking terracotta biscuits. Finding guidance on how to bisque fire terracotta greenware using my FuseWorks craft kiln was difficult. The FuseWorks craft kiln doesn't have any temperature controls, and despite it being fitted with a 30-minute timer, you can only fire the kiln for 15 minutes at a time. So I had to piece together a firing procedure based on research and trial and error. This is the bisque firing procedure that works for me. As I mentioned before, you can only fire the FuseWorks craft kiln for 15 minutes at a time. If a piece needs more than 15 minutes of firing time, then you need to fire your piece in multiple 15-minute sessions. I gave my kiln 5-minute breaks between firing sessions. It will take 2 hours of firing, including the 5-minute breaks, to turn your greenware into terracotta bisques. I set an alarm clock to ring after 20 minutes to alert me that a firing session and break had passed and that I needed to fire up my kiln for another 15 minutes. It took 6 20-minute firing/cooling sessions to achieve 2 hours of firing time. After 2 hours of firing, unplug your kiln and let your kiln, with slides still inside, cool down overnight. My kiln was cool after 3 hours, but my slides were still very hot after that time. Patience is a virtue in this project, so please, for your own safety, allow your slides to spend the night undisturbed in your unplugged kiln. After firing, my bisques looked burnt or overcooked. This overcooked color is what initially alerted me to stop bisque firing. Now it's time for the most enjoyable and satisfying part of the project. It's time to glaze your slides. Your slides will need 3 layers of glaze before you fire them up again. Remove your slides from the kiln and grab your glaze and 1-inch paintbrush. Paint the first layer of glaze onto the exterior of your slides. The Amico LG2 glaze results in a glossy black finish, so I was very surprised when it went on in a matte color. According to my research, glazes go on in a dull matte color and become bright and glossy after firing. Important note: make sure to leave the base of your slides unglazed. Allow your first layer to dry completely before applying the next layer of glaze. Once the second layer is dry, then apply your third and final layer of glaze. As your third layer of glaze dries, get your kiln ready for glaze firing. Take a sheet of kiln paper, cut it to fit, and place it on the floor of the kiln. Once the glaze on your slides is dry, put them in the kiln on the kiln paper. Make sure the unglazed bases of your slides are standing up on the kiln paper. Now it's time to fire. Plug in your FuseWorks craft kiln and fire your slides for 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes are up, carefully lift the lid of your kiln with fire-resistant mix, because the inside of your kiln is still burning hot, and check to see if your slides have changed color and are glossy. If they are, then you're done, and you can unplug your kiln and allow it and your slides to cool for at least 3 hours. If they aren't properly glazed after 15 minutes of firing, then follow the instructions available on page 11 in the FuseWorks Craft Kilns manual. You may notice that some fibers from your kiln paper have become stuck to the bottom of your slides. Use sandpaper to rub off these fibers in a well-ventilated area, and be careful not to inhale them. Clean off your dusty slides with a dry cloth or paper towel, and voila, you're done. Behold, my handmade glazed terracotta slides. They are so rustic, aren't they? They fit so well with the vibe of my fretless CBGs. These slides also feel and sound great. Check this out. Okay, now it's your turn, CBG builders. Go out and make some awesome terracotta slides for your friends, family, and patrons. Post pictures of your slides in your community posts and tag me at Psyche Opera in the description so that I can admire your work. And remember, all of the tools, materials, and equipment used in this project are conveniently linked in the video description box. If you found this video to be useful, then please consider using my Amazon affiliate links to source your materials and equipment. Again, it doesn't cost you extra to use my links, but it does help me and my channel. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Chaito.